Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this morning's episode of Trending, brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. Head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code TRENDING. You get 10% off. Okay, let's start. UK experiments, this is from the BBC, UK experiments to reflect sunlight one step closer. Now, first of all, can we stop calling them experiments and can we stop pretending that they're one step closer and this isn't something that's been going on for decades, please? Because I feel like it's basically insulting the intelligence of anyone that isn't staring back at you with a fluoride stare. Anyone that's ever looked up at the skies realizes that this has been going on for some time. All that's happened is it's got to come out into the open now. So the establishment has basically shifted from it's hidden, okay, too many people are noticing now, okay, next stage of the plan, bosh. We'll go public with it, but we'll say it's an experiment. We'll say it's new. Okay, mate. And, a fair few people will probably buy that. I don't. So let's go on with the article. Controversial experiments exploring the science behind reflecting sunlight with an aim to bring about global cooling have been announced. The Advanced Research and Innovation Agency, a government-backed body, is funding nearly £50 million that could allow real-world experiments, including in the UK. Now, it says that this Advanced Research and Innovation Agency is funding. No, the taxpayer is funding them, but okay. As part of the Exploring Climate Cooling programme, projects in solar radiation modification will involve trying to thicken Arctic sea ice. Well, it's already doing that anyway. And make clouds more effective. Yeah, 'cause clouds are useless, aren't they? But critics have real concerns about the impact on weather patterns and our health, as if the establishment cares about our health. They've been poisoning us through multiple means for as long as I can remember, at least, seeing it as a distraction to drastic decarbonisation. So what the people here, the critics, are saying is actually we shouldn't be, dimming the sun, which of course we shouldn't. We should instead focus on decarbonisation. So that aspect of net zero, so that destroying of industry aspect of net zero, both are nonsense. Both are complete nonsense. We need carbon dioxide. It's the gas of life. It's how plants survive and thrive, and it's how we're fed. And everything's an inversion, right, ladies and gentlemen? I've noticed that over a long period of time. Whatever they tell you or whatever they accuse you of, it's normally them that are up to that. And so when they say, carbon dioxide is the devil, essentially, when actually it's the gas of life. Carbon dioxide is killing us. No, it's not. It's how we survive. In the same way that, anyone that shouts out about genocide in Gaza is full of hate. That's a massive inversion, mate. Granny killers. Yeah, you're all granny killers for not wanting granny to be injected with poison. Again, inversion. More inversion of reality. Now, when it comes to this, right, let's go with the attitude then. I'm going to humour you, the BBC. Let's go with the attitude that, okay, they haven't been spraying the skies for decades. What I've been seeing with my own eyes, as I've been going out and going, it's a beautiful sunny day. Oh, no, here we go. Oh, they're spraying again. And then within a couple of hours, it's overcast. Quick, change the plans. Don't bother going to the beach. It's pointless. Let's pretend none of that happened. Okay, right, okay. So I'm going to go with the attitude of it is an experiment and it is new and they're just about to start it. Okay, so 50 million quid of taxpayer money. It will be a lot more than that, but they're saying 50 million. So let's pretend that's true as well. Okay. Now, the government has quadrupled its investment, our money, in solar farms, right, over the last year or so, with more earmarked going forward. So they're taking up thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of fertile farmland that we used to grow food on, that we used to eat. They're replacing that with billions and billions and billions and billions of pounds worth of solar farms. Okay, well, solar farms work by taking the rays of the sun and converting that into electricity, right? So, again, I said this on Gareth Tonight last week. Explain this to me like I'm 5. You are investing billions upon billions upon billions in solar farms. You're blowing up coal-powered power stations all over the country, so there's basically none left. You've cancelled any North Sea gas drilling licenses, so we're not getting that. Okay, so we're reliant on solar and wind, right? Okay. And now you're dimming the sun. Okay, so now you're dimming the sun, so the rays of the sun that give electricity out of solar panels aren't going to reach those solar panels. Do you know what I mean? Like, even looking at that level, it's freaking ridiculous. But then you're supposed to think it's ridiculous. You're supposed to think that Ed Milliband, Energy Secretary, is an idiot. And he is an idiot. Like, don't get me wrong, he is an idiot. But he's put there for a reason. And what he does is he provides the excuse of incompetence so that you look at it and go, oh yeah, that is stupid, isn't it? Well, yeah, it's stupid if you look at it at that level. If you take a step back and go, right, well, who's controlling Ed Milliband? Who is this ignoramus representing? He's representing the cult of people that basically hate the human race. And so actually, when you look at it, you go, okay, well, you're destroying fertile farmland then, which feeds people. Okay. You're destroying the energy infrastructure. Okay. You're spending billions of taxpayer money. So you're spaffing that up the wall, making the country poorer, raising taxes, destroying the population. And then you're dimming the sun to, well, one, poison people with stuff that's coming out of the sky, but also you're then blocking any of those rays going to those solar panels. Therefore, there's no energy coming out of them, or at least there's a massively diminished amount of energy coming out of them. So then you go, okay, well, if you look at it like it's being coldly calculated, you're going to create food shortages. You're going to create energy blackouts and energy shortages. And by doing that, you're going to be able to raise the prices of that, certainly the prices of food, and you're going to create dependence, because if you control whether someone eats or not, you control them 9 times out of 10, well, 99 times out of 100. And if you control whether their kids can eat, and you control whether their kids can live in a warm house, whether there's energy to warm the house, you control it. And then on another aspect of that, if you can then say that there's energy shortages, we need even more solar farms that aren't going to work, but we need even more of them. We need even more wind turbines. So we're going to have to take your land. Sorry, I know. Compulsory purchase order. We'll take that farm. That'd be great. The one you can't afford because we put up all the inheritance tax on it. Yeah, that one. And all the red tape that makes your life a misery, Mr. Farmer. We'll have all of that. You go off into the city. Yeah, you go and live in the city. We built some smart cities for you. 15 minutes. It's convenient, isn't it? It's a way of driving people off the land. That's another aspect of it. Now, and I've seen this a little bit, of course, that the NPCs are basically shifting on this, right? From, they'll never do that, you maniac, spraying in the sky. What are you talking about, you tinfoil hat idiot? To, I think it's quite a good idea, actually. And they did it during the Rona. I don't know if any of you will remember that the shift was seamless. It went from, they won't introduce that, honestly, dangerous. You're dangerous and insane for suggesting that. I think it's a really good idea that they're doing that. Oh, wow, mate, you didn't even breathe in between those two lines. Wow. Now, sticking with net zero, this should be funny, but again, like there's a deeper meaning to it as there is to all of this stuff. This is the headline. This is from thisismoney.co.uk. Not zero. It's clever. Not zero. Parliament scraps its own EV chargers due to health and safety. MPs have been told that they won't be able to use electric vehicle chargers in Westminster's new Palace Yard due to health and safety fears, a post on political commentary blog Guido Fawkes has revealed. Users of the parliamentary estate were informed. These charging zones are due to be removed on health and safety grounds following a review by the safety and fire teams and in consultation with the chair of Administration Committee. They all sound very posh, don't they, these organisations? A House of Commons spokesperson confirmed to This Is Money, due to developing health and safety guidance around electric car charging, 2 charging points in the underground car park have been closed. 8 fast chargers are available nearby, in addition to more within the estate. That's good news. Like I say, you want to laugh at it, right? And it reminds me of a time I went to Malta with my wife years back, and they just bought, at this point, a load of these electric buses. I think they were called bendy buses. They're like two buses that are like stuck together, basically. And then they had to basically recall them all because in a space of 48 hours, 3 of them burst into flames, right? Because electric vehicles are dangerous. They are. Teslas were randomly catching fire long before maniacs with blue air started setting fire to them, right? You see stories all the time about electric vehicles going up, about electric chargers going up, bursting into flames and all this kind of stuff. Now, on the face of it, the fact that this net zero nonsense, not zero, is being called out is obviously a good thing, right? Because you go, okay, well, it's coming out now, the fact that these things either don't work or they are dangerous in terms of fires and stuff like that. You've got child slave labor digging all the natural resources out of the ground to provide the batteries for these cars. Of course, there's not enough of that natural resource or natural resources to be able to put enough batteries to have everyone having an electric car. And so you think about it and you go, well, this is good then, because this is coming out and it's showing the absurdity of net zero and the hypocrisy, ladies and gentlemen, of net zero. We care about people. Yep, send that slave child down. Get me more from a Tesla. Okay, mate. And that is a good thing that it's coming out. People are calling it out. Of course, I'll celebrate that. But then again, when you take the step back, you go, okay, again, it's not being done by incompetence and stupidity. And the government are banning petrol and diesel cars by 2030, which is only 5 years away, right? So you then take a step back and you go, well, why would if there's not enough to go round for everyone to have an electric car, and if electric cars are dangerous so that they have to withdraw them all the time, and these EV chargers are dangerous and they have to withdraw all these all the time, then how is everyone going to have a car and how is everyone going to be able to travel? Well, they're not. And that's the point. They don't want you traveling. As with the previous story, they want you in your 15-minute city. They want you in your little box. Shush, shush, shush now. Shush. Otherwise you don't get your universal basic income. They don't want you traveling around. They don't want you. And that's the whole point as well with electric cars, is for them to become driverless. So that actually in the end, you don't own a car. So you have to use a vehicle, an Uber, which is an electric vehicle, which only goes where you're permitted to go. And again, like I mentioned earlier, blowing up the power stations and stuff like that, it looks stupid. And a lot of people will think that this is incompetence, but it's not incompetence. It's coldly calculated. They've put idiots in charge of governments, so-called in charge of governments, but they're only the faces of it. I mean, if anyone's seen the video of Dominic Cummings, who was former advisor to Boris Johnson, the Eton mess, when he was Prime Minister, he's saying that actually when these politicians come into these meetings with these civil servants, that bear in mind, they're the same no matter who you vote for. The politicians come in, but the civil servants are all exactly the same. They're still the same people. That's the permanent government. So they sit in a room with them, and they basically have the cameras rolling and they have their little bit of a discussion, blah, blah, blah. They sign off on it. It's already been written. He says that in an interview. He says all this stuff has already been written for these politicians. They're just the face of it. So they sit there, they sign it off, they pretend to have a debate for 5 minutes, and then they all go off to the bar and neck a few bottles of champagne that we pay for. It's ridiculous. But what it means is the permanent government stays the same. So we look at the idiots like Ed Milliband, David Lammy, Rachel Reeves, all of these people in the UK, and you can apply this to everywhere around the world. There's no remarkable politicians anywhere. So then you go, oh, they're so incompetent and stupid. Oh, mate, when's the election? Oh, it's tomorrow. Right, vote them out. Yeah, we'll put these lot in. Okay, these will be different. And then 5 years later, you go, oh, they were idiots, weren't they? Put these lot back in charge again. This is democracy. I'm glad I got my vote. But the government is the same the whole freaking time, which is why everything moves forward. But you have to vote for one side, so they'll move it to that level. And then, oh, no, too far, I've had enough with that. So we vote in this side, and they take it to that level, but in a different way. But the end result is the same. And you go, oh, no, I don't like that either. Let's do this one. Oh, yeah. And it marches on and it marches on. Now, part of the agenda is a one world government. A lot of people, my dad particularly, but a lot of people have been talking about this for a long, long time. It's just a means to get there. How do we get there? Well, the EU is a way because it's a stepping stone that swallows up a load of member states and individual nations, and then it goes on and on and on. And, you know, there'll be excuses for it, which we'll come to in a minute. But this story comes from the Irish Examiner. Ireland, I don't know why I said it like that, Ireland faces court action over EU hate crime and cyber laws. Okay. Ireland has been given 2 months to implement separate EU laws on hate speech, cybersecurity and cross-border arrests, or face being hauled before the European Courts of Justice. Oh yeah, those unelected bureaucrats. Cool. In addition to legal action on these 3 EU laws, the European Commission has also started formal proceedings against Ireland for failing to correctly transpose a directive on landfills. Okay. In a statement, the European Commission detailed 3 laws that it says Ireland has failed to implement and has sent reasoned opinions to the government saying it's got 2 months to address the issues or potentially be taken to court. Okay, so you're an individual nation, Ireland, but you do as you're told by a bunch of unelected people in Europe, or we'll take you to court. I freaking love democracy. Now, one of those 3 is the Council Framework Decision from 2008 on combating racism and xenophobia by criminal laws. In particular, provisions of public incitement to hatred and the denial of the Holocaust and other international crimes. Okay, so it's against the law and punishable by either fines or imprisonment to deny something. Now, okay. Now, there's another part of this. Obviously, the Holocaust is then basically made illegal to deny for a long, long time in a lot of different countries, right? Now, for me, I think everyone should have the freedom to either disbelieve or believe whatever they want. Now, bearing in mind, the people that tell us what happened in events like, you know, international crimes, it says, we can include COVID nonsense in that. If you disbelieve then what you're being told by the very people, whether it be politicians or leaders of corporations or whatever, or the media, if you disbelieve people that lie to you for a living about everything, then that's illegal. Wow. Okay. You know, and also the term international crimes, that is very vague. You apply that to pretty much everything. So you can't deny anything happened. And it's not always a case of denying it happened, as in like they made it all up, but denying it happened in the way that we're told it happened. So then you get, well, there's 9/11 denial. Well, no, I'm not denying 9/11 happened. I'm denying it happened how you said it happened, son. Same for October 7th. You're not allowed to question the official story of that. That's punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment in Israel. Okay, so a government that lies constantly, you can't then, even as an Israeli citizen, say, well, I don't believe their official story of it. That's 5 years in prison. Mate, freedom's amazing. Now, with this story, this is why British people voted to leave the EU. We were told that it was about racists and stupid gammons and boomers and all that kind of nonsense. That's what we were told the whole time. We were called all sorts of names for wanting to leave the European Union. But this is why. Because you've got the European Union that you don't vote. You know, you might have your MEPs that have basically no say. But Ursula von der Leyen, did anybody vote for her? No. And so you've got all these people that we don't vote for, and they're very questionable. They've got very, very questionable backgrounds, and they're connected to some very questionable people. They control what your government can and can't implement. Well, you don't live in a nation state then, do you? And you certainly don't live in a democracy. Because if you're Irish, what's the point in voting? Because it doesn't matter who you vote for, they're answerable to people that you don't get to vote for. And if they don't implement what they're told by the EU, as it seems Ireland hasn't yet, then they get taken to court. Honestly, it's mental. Like, I'll be honest with you, like in terms of Scottish independence, I know people got a lot of opinions on that. My opinion on it, as an Englishman, was, well, what do the Scottish people want? Like, what do they want? If they want to be independent from the United Kingdom, then good luck to them. That's what freedom's about, isn't it? Scottish people should have the right to vote for independence if that's what they want. If that's genuinely what they want, then fill your boots, mate. Go for it. That's fine. But what I didn't understand at the time was that the SNP was promoting this independent Scotland, independent from the UK, can make its own decisions within the EU. The hell are you talking about? It's like saying I'm free. I'm really free to live on Alcatraz. Doesn't make any sense. Now, for me, we need more decentralization of power. We need less. I lost my way then. We need more decentralization of power, right? I don't even think that Westminster should be making decisions that affect the far-flung regions of England and of the United Kingdom that most of these politicians couldn't point to on a map. Do you know what I mean? If you're sat in your little apartment in Chelsea and you go to Westminster and collect your money and drink your champagne and all the rest of it, you've got no connection to the people of Burnley or the people of Derby, where I am now, or the people of Carlisle or of Penzance. No connection to them at all. You have no understanding of what it's like to be living there, be from there, be part of that society. You have no idea, mate. And so for me, I would pull it back. But of course, the idea is for a world government. The EU is just the stepping stone towards that. And what we'll be told is, a world war. We need a one world government and a one world army so it can never happen again. Maybe even through climate change and all that nonsense. Look, lots of us are complying with net zero, and it's so good that we're doing that. But these other rogue states that are refusing to do it, they're bringing us all down. They're going to be the death of humanity. We need to take everything over under one government, and we'll control everything for your benefit, to save you and your children, yada, yada, yada. That's how it goes. Okay, final story, more nonsense. Taxi racism now forces youngest Labour councillor to quit. Okay. One of Britain's youngest councillors has claimed she was bullied into quitting the Labour Party, good old Labour Party, after she was branded a racist for calling for CCTV to be put in minicabs. Daisy Blakemore Cretan, 19, alleged fellow Labour councillors had accused her of racism when she raised safety concerns about the city's council-licensed minicabs, many of which are operated by Asian men. She said she was left deeply disturbed by the accusation of targeting fellow Asian Labour councillors. Why are they driving cabs, are they? Ms. Blakemore Cretan flatly denied the accusation, saying it's got nothing to do with ethnicity. First thing I thought when I saw that was you'd think that Labour would be all about more surveillance. They love it normally, don't they? Now, we're at a point, ladies and gentlemen, and to be fair, we've been at a point for a while where when everything is something, nothing is something. So if everything is racist, suddenly, well, nothing is then. Everything's anti-Semitic, well, then nothing is. Everything's sexist, transphobic, bigoted, well, then suddenly nothing is then. And what you have is you have a pendulum swing that comes back where people go, do you know what? Balls to this. This is nonsense. And I can see myself doing it now, where go back 15, 20 years ago, you'd hear that someone was an anti-Semite. And, I've spoke out against Israel for a long time, so I've been called it. And I used to be horrified. So much so I've dropped my H's. I used to be horrified, right, to be called an anti-Semite. And I'd go on the defensive. I'd be like, what? Mate, don't say that. Like, I've got Jewish mates. Do you know what I mean? The same old line. But you would be offended by it. Now if someone said, yeah, of course I am, mate. Whatever. Not bothered. And when I hear someone else is called a racist, go back 10, 20, 15, 20 years ago, oh, so-and-so's a racist. You go, really? Why? Now, your first thought, and they may well be, your first thought is, are they? Well, what do they say? Do they say we should have CCTV in a minicab? Do you know what I mean? And then so what you get with that pendulum swing is actually real cases of racism and real cases of discrimination get overlooked because people kind of don't take it seriously because, well, yeah, everything is now, isn't it? And that's not a good thing. Now, I can understand the desire for CCTV in minicabs. I'm not one for the surveillance state, obviously, but I can see the desire for it when you're, well, from both sides actually, but when you're a woman traveling on your own. It's late at night, you've left the nightclub, you've said goodbye to your mates, and you get in a minicab with a bloke you don't know. I can understand why you would want that. I get it, right? And on the other end of it, I can understand it why a cabbie would want it. For one, so I can protect myself from being accused of stuff, because, not every accusation in anything is always true. You're always going to have people making false claims about loads of stuff. So I can understand it why a cabbie, who's picking up a drunk girl late at night might want, a little bit of protection here. Even if it's just so that I've got footage of her vomiting in my cab. Do you know what I mean? Right. So I can get it. And I'll tell you a story. A few years back, I went to Ashbourne, which is about 15 miles away from here. And they have their Shrove Tuesday, the Shrove Tide game, right? Game of football. Mate, it's carnage. Look it up. It's worth it. But I went, and you basically have a few beers. They board up all the windows because they have this massive carnage football match. And it's a spectacle. And I would encourage people to go, even if you just go once, to watch it. Anyway, I went and I'd phoned a cab. I had to walk to the edge of the town because obviously this football match is going on for 24 hours. Cabs can't obviously drive around while people are doing it. And so anyway, so he apologised. He was late and he'd had this happen and this happened. He said, I was seeing my dad in hospital and blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, mate, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's sound I had another beer with my mate waiting for you. It's not a problem. So as we're driving, you get chatting, don't you, with a cabbie. And I said to him, he was an Asian guy. I said, what happened to your dad? Is he all right? I hope he's all right, And he went, oh, mate, he said he got attacked in his cab a couple of days ago. So he's all right, but he's obviously shaken up and he's kept in hospital for observation. And I went, oh my goodness, what happened? So he said a guy gets in his cab, a white guy gets in his cab, and he's driving away, his dad, an Asian chap, and the guy puts cheese wire, right, over the top. So it's clearly a psycho. Puts cheese wire over the top. Now the guy manages, I think spots him in the rearview mirror, this is what his son told me, puts his hand up and gets it like that, right? So it's not getting his throat, but it's obviously slashing the hell out of his hand. And at that point, he obviously thought really fast, this cabbie, and he swerved off the road and he crashed into a wall, right? Car crashes, obviously huge commotion. People come running out of the houses. The guy in the back of the cab, the psycho, legs it, gets away, right? So this guy then goes to hospital with all these cuts and stuff and obviously some head injuries from the crash itself. And so I can understand why he would want CCTV in his car, because that guy's just got away with it. So then you flip it and you go, okay, so if that man, bearing in mind, young women get attacked by cab drivers, and some of those cab drivers are Asian. True story, whether you like it or not, right? Now, some cabbies get attacked, as this chap did, and they get attacked by white people, right? Because they're psychopaths from every background and from every ethnicity. There just is, right? So if this cabbie comes out and says, I want CCTV in my cab because I was attacked by a white guy, is he a racist? It's a genuine question. Is he a racist for saying that? Or is it a lived-in experience? Or is it an experience that you've heard about, that you've seen statistics about, and you think, do you know what, actually, I think it would be a good idea to protect myself from that happening, or at least if it happens, someone could be held accountable. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be. No one would say a word if he said it. And this is what is so frustrating about this nonsense, is that you have people that say, it's about equality. We want equality. No, you don't. No, you really don't. You want a hierarchy. So you have a situation where it doesn't matter what is being said or what is being suggested, it's who's suggesting it. So if that side suggests it, that's racist. If that side suggests it, that's a good idea. If that side suggests it, that's xenophobic, that's sexist, that's whatever. Whereas if this side says it, oh no, I think that's a great idea, that's more inclusion, that's this and that. Again, more inversion. For me, judge people on the content of their character. Simple as that. Is he a knobhead? Yes, he is a knobhead. Right. Well, I don't care what colour he is then. I don't care what sexuality he is. I don't care whether he goes to Benidorm twice a year. If he's a knobhead, he's a knobhead. Now, if he's a nice guy or he's a nice woman, he's a nice woman. Well, I can say that now, can't I, to be fair? Now I am being inclusive. If she's a nice woman, again, great. Doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is and all that sort of stuff, because there's nice people, there's all right people, yeah, take him or leave him, and there's knobheads in every single demographic of society. And when we judge people based on either their competence or the content of their character, their attitude, how they behave, rather than any of these other racial, sexual, aspects of them, then that's where we get true equality. That's what I believe anyway. But there you go. There's 4 kind of bonkers stories, and it's sort of, it's a daily occurrence, isn't it? In this country, Britain is it's a strange place right now. But again, for me, and I say this all the time, the more bonkers it gets, the more people notice. And the more people notice, the more we can do about it, because the more people stand up against it and say, no, this is ridiculous. This is absurd. No, I'm not doing this. No, I'm not doing it anymore. Enough's enough. I've gone too far now. I let you go that far. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I let you charge me 10p to buy a carrier bag at Tesco's. I let you do that. No, I didn't leave my TV on standby. I gave you that. I let you have that. But this is enough now. Dimming the sun. Stop being silly. It's enough now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Rich will be back tomorrow, flying solo on Trending. As always, it's brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. Head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code Trending and you get 10% off. I will see you on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend and I hope you enjoy the show tomorrow. Bye.